Bieniemy has had an amazing career. Up for the Heisman as a running back at Colorado. That was the last time Colorado was great. Really, truly great. Two-time Super Bowl champ as a coordinator with Andy Reid. 10 full seasons with the Chiefs. And he is in studio. He was at UCLA last year. So I got so many things. I want to start with the big picture on Mahomes. Mm-hmm. So he comes from, Texas Tech. His dad was a major league player. Mm-hmm. Did they let you in on him before they drafted him? Had you heard in the building there was a young kid? I'm trying to figure out the timeline because they had Matt Nagy was there and then Eric Bieniemy, and I'm trying to figure out exactly when you were there. But take me through your kind of chronological order with Mahomes.
Okay, so first and foremost, coaching out there in Kansas City, we were in the Big 12 country. So seeing Texas Tech play every single weekend. And one thing, we had a great staff. I mean, we had Brett Veach on staff as a GM. Obviously, he was under my man, what was the original? John Dorsey. He was under Dorsey. And so, we had a lot of guys, Chris Ballard. And the talk of the town was always, have you guys seen these throws that this kid has made? And we would watch the games. We got caught up in Big 12 football, obviously just watching what Pat was doing. And so we got enamored with him. We watched him grow as a player while we were coaching because everybody was a fan of football. And so just watching him and seeing all the things that he brought to the table, we all were kind of in on it. Chris Ballard was probably the lead scout at that point in time.
He's now the Colts GM.
Exactly.
He loved him?
Loved him. Absolutely loved him. I think everybody in the building fell in love with him. Now, did we think that we would have a chance of getting him? No. But it's amazing how things worked out. And obviously it's been history being made right before your eyes. The kid is an unbelievable kid. He takes absolutely nothing for granted, and you just love him as a person and as a competitor.
When you so let's go to the first camp with Mahomes.
Yes.
So you had Alex Smith, who's a wonderful guy.
Yes.
And were there moments? Did you drive home after a practice or three, and was there a moment for you, an epiphany, when you're like, oh boy, this is different?
Let me say this. So with all due respect to Alex, okay, we love Alex. Alex was a great quarterback. Here's one thing Alex did. Alex provided a blueprint for Pat Mahomes to follow. Because first and foremost, Alex was a come early, stay late guy.
Yeah.
He was very professional. He was very diligent, right, in everything that he did. He took the game serious. He studied. He was a film junkie. So those are some of the things that, as an example of seeing an older player do it, helped Patrick to grow. Now, watching Patrick, and don't get me wrong, every young quarterback has their struggles every now and then. But there were certain throws that you'll see in practice. You're like, oh, my goodness, did you see that? And we just sit there.
You go back, look at the tape.
Yes. Like, wait a minute. Did you see that throw? And so there will always be those moments, and then you just knew you had something special. And then he had that opportunity to start up against Denver. I want to say it was the last game of the season that particular year. And he went out and he did his thing. And not to anybody's surprise, here we are, years later, looking at him and still watching him excel at all the little things that a lot of people didn't think that he can do because he came from an air raid offense.
Yeah.
Yes.
So obviously Andy Reid is a great play caller and play designer. Mm-hmm. You've worked with a lot of good coaches. Bobby Ross.
Yes.
What is the secret sauce? If I said, Eric, you get a head coaching job, take one thing from Andy Reid. What's the structure, the foundational piece of Andy that makes him arguably the best coach ever?
I think more than anything, it's probably the consistency. He's a consistent individual. The Andy Reid that you see today is the same Andy Reid that I played for in 1999.
Really?
The thing that I love about Coach Reid is that he's very stern. He expects you to be very professional. He expects all his coaches to be an expert at their positions. He expects his players to work hard. He expects them to be at their best when their best is needed. And there's always a culture of accountability. And when you have all that and you combine it together, now you see the consistent winning performance that just takes place throughout the course of the years. And so the thing that I love about Coach Reid is that he's provided that. And then on top of it, I got to add one more thing. He's not afraid of change. He's not afraid of adjusting.
A lot of old coaches are.
Yes, you know, and that does not fear him. You know, he wants to make sure that whatever needs to be done, whatever we need to do to win, that's all that matters. And then you can obviously see that's been a theme of this season. It doesn't matter what the score is. When it's all said and done with, you're being measured. It ain't about the numbers. It ain't about the stats. You're being measured by two alphabets, the W or the L.
Yeah.
And they found a way to be 13-1 right now.
Yeah.
And everybody wants to talk about what they haven't done. But I'll say this, it's hard winning 13 games in the season, let alone being 13-1 at this particular point. And that's a credit to Coach Reid.
Yeah. So you looked at all these quarterbacks coming out, Jaden Daniels and Bo Nix and Caleb Williams and Michael Penix and J.J. McCarthy. I thought Caleb was the most talented. At UCLA, you know the USC program well. This year you faced, I think it was Miller Bond. No, the UNLV kid at the end. Mm-hmm. When you watch Caleb struggling in Chicago, how do they get it right? What's the first step?
Well, I think more than anything, it's about the culture and the atmosphere. So you want to make sure that the kid is in a right culture, meaning you have to build it around him. All right? If you're going to draft a franchise quarterback, you got to make sure that and I'm not trying to step on anybody's toes or place any judgment on anything. I think Ryan Poles has done a great job.
You know Ryan.
Yes. Ryan is a very good friend, and I've known him for a number of years because we spent a number of years together in Kansas City. But you want to make sure that you're building that organization, that program around him.
Everything benefits him.
Exactly. And everything always starts and ends up front. So you got to build it with those guys. And
so Eberflus was a defensive coach, and that worried me.
Yeah, and so I'm not into who's doing the hiring and all the firing, but one thing I do know, anytime you're drafting a franchise quarterback, you got to surround him with the right people. You got to make sure the right people are in his ear. You got to do the things that he likes and feels comfortable with, and then you start branching out and developing him and teaching him other things along the way. Mm-hmm. And so, yes, the kid is special. He's a dynamic football player, but it starts with a culture.
Yeah.
And having this opportunity to coach in a number of AFC championship games and being on a Super Bowl winning team, it starts and ends up top. It starts with everything. The
Hunt family,
exactly.
To Beach, to everybody.
Yes. You know, and when you're in a first-class organization and with first-class people, you know, everything is done the right way. Will there be mistakes made along the way?
Sure.
Yes, there will.
Yeah.
But it always starts up top, and you want to surround your quarterback with the right people that's going to help him to develop and grow.
So Belichick's going to college. My take is he is building a pro model. College athletic departments can be high maintenance. People are very parochial. They have their space. And Belichick's coming in with his NFL guys, and he's like, yeah, I'm not going to volleyball matches. And my take is it's Bill's smart, but he's a pro coach. And you're a pro coach, yes. And you went to UCLA. If you could give him, what was the first shocking thing? What? And again, Kansas City's a well-run pro football operation. Yes. The first thing, if you could whisper one thing to Bill, hey, be careful about blank, what would you say?
The only thing if anything, that I disliked or about the college game is the lack of time that we have to teach. And so I pride myself on being a teacher. And, you know, there's a 20-hour rule. You only get so much time.
That's right.
To deal with young men. And I always have felt that it is our duty as coaches to make sure that if there's a player that's special enough, it's our responsibility of making sure we're providing this kid with all the necessary tools that's going to give him the best opportunity to play early in the NFL, if he's talented enough.
Eric Bieniemy for our radio audience, and here's the thing. That's why the NFL it's the great scheme league for coaches. College is the recruiting league.
Yes.
You can only layer a college kid with so much.
Yes.
You only get 20 hours.
Exactly.
So Belichick is not a recruiter. He's a scheme genius.
Yes.
And that's why Andy Reid in college would probably be exhausted by having to go to San Bernardino and look at a receiver instead of teaching them his plays. Mm-hmm. And so I feel he's going to be. Now, are you surprised, because you're a former Colorado great, are you surprised by Colorado has no money? Mm-hmm. Like they're like UCLA. There's not a lot of dollars there for NIL. Are you surprised at the success that he has had, Deion?
Not at all. I tell you what, knowing Rick George and knowing everything that Rick George wanted.
AD.
Yes, exactly. Rick George is a great friend of mine, very close friend. He was there when we played in the national championships era, but him and Primetime, they hit it off.
Really?
And, yes, they hit it off. And there's a nucleus. There's a bond. So I thought Rick, first of all, Deion did a heck of a job of selling his vision to Rick. But on top of that, you can see the vision coming through because Deion did a great job of basically helping those young men to go out there and be successful. But on top of that, just building a competitive program by building it with the right people. I thought he did a great job.
Hey, Travis Hunter, I'd play him at corner. Mm-hmm. As a former offensive coordinator in the NFL for years, here's my concern. You can't be a part-time receiver. Mm-hmm. It's a timing position.
Yes.
So what would you do? You're a coordinator, and you get Travis Hunter. Mm-hmm. And he's like, hey, coach, I want to do some offense and returning, but he's an elite Sauce Gardner level corner. Mm-hmm. How would you integrate him into some of the offense? I don't think he can be your number one receiver and your number one corner. Mm-hmm. Well, but if you had to, you only got him for half the practice. What do you do?
So first and foremost, congratulations to Travis Hunter on winning the Heisman Trophy.
He is great.
The second Heisman Trophy winner in the history of Colorado football. So outstanding. Second of all, I have to answer this question biasly because, and don't get me wrong, I think the kid is a tremendous athlete. I'm selfish. I'm on the offensive side of the ball. I want him to play receiver for me.
Right.
And so, but because I watch all the dynamic things that the kid does. He makes dynamic catches. I would use him just like I would use any other player that plays. Jet sweeps, certain routes. I mean, the kid he can run. He has an unbelievable hand and eye coordination. He can track the football. He can come out and in and out of his breaks. He transitions well. I mean, the kid is a great football player. And obviously he's one of the best because of the numbers that have shown. But on top of that, the trophy speaks for itself. But the kid is also a competitive kid.
Yes.
And don't get me wrong, I think the kid is a dynamic college football player.
Can he be a great receiver in the league?
I think the kid could be an outstanding receiver. And so, but you got to pick and choose a side, in my opinion. It's just my humble opinion.
You got to take a side.
Yes, because it takes away. Now, he could be a dynamic, great corner, just like you said. He does have those skills and ability to be the next Sauce.
But you know what? Here's my takeaway on that, Eric. Mm-hmm. It's an offensive league. Mm-hmm. A lot of bad teams, the Jets, have great corners. Yeah. But if you have dual weapons like the Rams, it's an offensive league.
Yes.
A corner has limitations.
Yes.
Patrick Surtain is unbelievable.
Yes.
But it's Sean Payton, the offense, the left tackle. I just think – I think he's going to be a better corner than receiver. But I think receiver's more valuable now than a great corner.
Because you can design and get him involved in the game early and often.
Okay.
And that's the beauty of it. Whereas he's having an opportunity to touch the football
12, 15 times.
Great things can happen.
Yeah.
And so you would implement him in your offense early.
So a year ago, people were lamenting that running backs, they're never going to get paid. You were a running back. And they're never going to get paid. And now here's Derrick Henry. And you're watching Green Bay now, Josh Jacobs. That's a power run team. Detroit's a power run team. Baltimore's a power run team.
Yes.
The Rams with Kyron Williams.
Yes.
So why do you think in the last year, Saquon Barkley, it feels like, Eric, there is a little bit of a pivot back to the running back? Why?
Well, this game has a way of being cyclical. Everything that you think was outdated, it seems to come right back. One thing that I've always known, you throw the ball, okay, to win You throw the ball to win football games, to score touchdowns.
Right.
But you got to run it to win a championship. When it's all said and done with, the game is still won up front. All right, whether it's the O-line or the defensive line. If you can run the ball, it takes so much pressure off the quarterback.
Also, it eats clock.
It eats clock.
You get into these close, late games. That's what Josh Allen has never had until James Cook. He had leads.
Exactly.
They couldn't eat the clock up.
Yeah, because it becomes a game of possessions. And so if you're taking care of the football, ball security, you're running the ball, it limits the opponent. And so it limits the opponent's opportunities. But on top of that, it applies pressure to that team because now they feel forced to be perfect to drive the ball the length of the field to go out and put points on the board. Yeah. But when it's all said and done with, those teams that are doing a great job of running the ball, those are going to be teams that are going to be reckoned with come playoff time because they're hard to stop. Yeah. And then you watch what they're doing up in Green Bay. I mean, with that cold weather, running the ball as efficiently as they are. I mean, you're watching Philly do what they do, but this year has been fun watching all these guys do what they have done. And then if you look at it, it's about 4 or 5 other guys that are on the cusp of rushing over 1,000 yards. This year may be an all-time high as far as 1,000-yard rushes.
7 players right now with 1,000-plus rushing yards. Last year, 1 player.
Yeah, think about that.
I also think about this. As the game got more perimeter-based, safeties got smaller, so did linebackers.
Yes.
And I think the good coaches went, timeout. We got 214-pound linebackers.
Yes.
And then the game, most of these running backs, low center of gravity guys, they're punishing running back. Kyron Williams, you can't get a hit on.
No, you can't.
So I think it's cyclical. To your point, the safeties and linebackers got smaller and rangier, but not as physical.
Yes, because here's what happens. So once upon a time, defensive schemes were scheming up Tom Brady and the New England Patriots on how to stop those guys. You think about all the receivers. So guys got naturally smaller. So you're primarily playing with your nickel personnel. So same thing with the Kansas City Chiefs, the evolution of Patrick Mahomes. Teams are lining up, trying to take away all the different receiving threats that you have on the perimeter, which leads for what? A light box. So now you have an opportunity to run it even more so. And you think about some of those guys that are running the ball as efficiently as they are. Look at the players that are playing quarterback as well. There's also guys out on the perimeter. So now it's like little checks and balances because you have to be able to defend the run. But on top of that now you get matchups on the perimeter where you get one-on-one battles where guys are going to have opportunities now to make more plays efficiently down the field by making the big throw off of play-action passes.
Eric Bieniemy is joining us. Before I let you go, you've had opportunities to be a coach. You've interviewed. I mean, it's a competitive world. Do you ever get frustrated? Some people have thrown out a racial component. How does that land for you? When you interview, you don't get it. The media appears to be like, give this guy a chance. Is it hard on you and your family? How do you view it? How does it land for you?
I look at it as an opportunity to grow. I've had a number of opportunities to sit down with a number of teams, and I've come away with a lot just sitting down, having that experience, talking to those particular teams. And the thing that you can do is, I'm a competitor. The only thing that you can do is go back to the drawing board, and figure out what can I do to make it better. I grew up in a culture of being a resilient person. Right. My mom have always taught me, hey, you don't worry about the things you can't control. Worry about what's next and how you're going to control that particular moment. So when it's all said and done with, no, you don't think about the negative. The only thing that you build upon is the positives. What are some of the things that you can come away with after learning and going through this experience? And how is it going to help you moving forward? So those are the things that I focus on. And that's what's important moving forward.
Well, I got to ask you one more.
Yes, sir.
All your years as a coordinator, offensive coordinator, if I said to you, name the one defensive player you hated facing, that you would look at the film and think, okay, he's going to blow that. Because Chris Jones is one of those guys that other coordinators look at. He'll move up. He'll move all over the defensive line. Was there a guy in this league, you're doing this for 10 years, and every time you faced him, you thought, oh, headache?
But there's probably a few of them, but one of them that stands up, it's a young Von Miller. Vaughn was a beast.
First 3-4 years in the league.
He was a beast.
Okay, so he was in Denver.
Yes.
How did you block him?
We tried. Nah. In fact, it was a funny story because first of all, I have the utmost respect for Vaughn.
Yeah.
You talking about a premier pass rusher that also did a great job of lining up and playing against the run in his heyday. And that's not to take away anything that he's doing now in Buffalo. But that young kid, he was so hard to block. You had to scheme around him. I remember we played him. It had to be either 2018 or 2019. He beats Mitch off the edge, and Mitch probably is not going to like me saying
Mitch
that.
was good, too.
Yes, Mitch was. And here's the thing. He probably was Vaughn's toughest matchup because Mitch was
smart.
He was smart. He was very strategic with it. He did a great job of timing up his pass sets. But it was this one time he beats him. And so he beats him around, and Pat scrambles to his left, and Pat throws the ball with his left hand, and he completes it. And so in the heat of the moment now, you got to understand, we're in a 2-minute situation where we're trying to go down and win the game. And so I'm sitting there, and it's a lot of chaos over the headsets. And I'm like, damn, did anybody see that? I'm talking to Coach Reid, and Coach Reid's like, EB, you got to call a play. You know, he gives me the play. You got to call a play. I said, did anybody see that damn throw that he just made? He was like, get the play out, call the play. And so after I get the play called in, we're like, yeah, we saw it. It was unreal.
And that was the play Vaughn just beat his guy.
Yes, but you're talking about a great player in his heyday. I mean, unbelievable. Hard to stop.
Yeah.
You know, hard to scheme around as well.
Yeah. Eric Bieniemy, pleasure to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well.
All right.
And thank you for this opportunity.
Oh, of course.
Yes.
Hi, everybody. It's me, Uncle Colin. Subscribe here to get the latest from the herd, including exclusive behind-the-scenes videos and more, wherever you may be, however you may be watching. Thanks again for making us part of your day.